2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as tomorrow's legends. And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Behold, it is I, Sir Fleetfoot of the Central City. Welcome, all wary travelers, to our Sanctuary of Legends.
And beware, because the Black Maiden over here might just crush you with this giant hammer that I'm wielding.
Oh, that's so much fun, just like this episode was. Welcome, everybody, to Season 2, Episode 12, Camelot 3000. This is The Flash.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
Oh my god, was this not a fun episode, Harley?
It was totally awesome. It's probably one of my favorites of the season, if I'm being honest.
Well, then tell us right away, what is your rating and impression? Because, I can't wait. Too much fun.
I know, it was so fun. Okay, I gave this episode 9.5 spears in the stone.
Oh, love it.
And I really like this episode because King Arthur is one of my all-time favorite things. I love that legend. It was always one of my favorites as a kid. And I, kind of like Ray, I just kind of got giddy when I learned we were going to Camelot and we're going to see King Arthur. It was awesome. And I loved that Stargirl was Merlin. I didn't see that coming. And I loved that she kind of had her own spin on the legend. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. And then, of course, that ending. We're going to get into it, but oh my God. Gideon, what are you thinking?
Yes, we got lots to talk about that. And I'm so with you on just everything about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and Sir Lancelot, and Galahad, all that stuff. Guinevere, it's just, I have loved every King Arthur movie they've ever had, and one of the best ones, I think that was it Eric Bana? I can't remember. There's a recent one, maybe 5 or 6 years old, I think is one of the greatest King Arthur movies of all time, and there's yet a new one coming out with a new modern spin on it, so I'm excited for that.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. Have you not seen the trailers for that one yet?
I haven't. What's it called?
I think it's called King Arthur.
Oh.
Look up on IMDb. You will see I think it's in the new trailer section right now. It looks cool. It's a modern take. So I'm hoping it's done well. It's got, what's his name? Charlie Gunham guy. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look that one up. A fairly up and coming actor. So we'll. Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. A 9.5 Matrix Knights.
Nice. Very nice.
And I'm calling out to that scene with Ray when he leaps over the horse and all that that was very cool. But also the fact that all the knights were kind of being mind controlled, very much like in the Matrix. So that's kind of
dual meaning.
So I'm going to equal you and say, oh my God, so much fun. I just think Legends is continually one-upping themselves and having way more fun than any of the other comic book shows. It must be a blast getting to be on the show, whether you're writing or acting or part of the film department. I don't care. I mean, they combined Camelot with some Star Wars. How can it lose?
You've got that right.
Oh man, so much fun. So we'll get into it in a sec, because we have not quite pre-show feedback, but just something fun and exciting. We got yet another donation of support of $5 a month from our friend Amanda Moon.
That's amazing.
Yeah, on our Patreon page. So just wanted to say, of course, thank you so much for that. I'm going to have to look back on the Patreon page and see because there's different stages, different levels, depending on what you decide to pledge every month. There's different stages, and you can offer rewards and things like that. So I'm still working on it. Me and Harley have to kind of discuss it behind the scenes, what we want to do. But for now, we just definitely want to give you a big old shout out and a virtual hug to everybody that does that. So Amanda Moon, thank you. You've got some arms virtually wrapping around you right now.
Unless you find that creepy. Just kidding. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
All right. And I put up a poll on our Facebook page this week because, fans were clamoring, what happened to the ladies? Where are the girls? Because I did the whole who's the hot guy and which person would you like to get to know kind of thing. So this week was all about the ladies, and we have our poll results, don't we, Harley?
Yes, we do.
All right. Poll number 1 was about pure hotness eye candy, who I think someone kind of ran away with it, didn't they?
Yes, someone did. I guess not surprisingly.
And that was?
That would be Sara Lance, our captain.
Yes. I mean, I don't blame people for voting for her, but I was trying to make sure that the vote was split the poll was split up, as in this one part was pure hotness. So I know she's extremely popular, probably the most popular female character, so I hope that was not leaking into this one, but she definitely did. Did we have a runner-up? Did you know who anyone was even close?
Caitlin Snow was our runner-up.
Caitlin Snow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And tied with Amaya, actually.
Amaya. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Indeed.
Then we got to poll number 2 is favorite character. What character would you like to spend time with? Or what character would you like to be stuck with on the beach? If it was a character at a TV show, who won that one?
Yet again, Sara Lance.
No way, really?
Yes, really. This one was a little closer than the other one, and the runner-up was Patty Spivot.
Oh. Well, I believe that was the one that I voted for, so that I'm happy to hear about.
Nice. Yeah, my votes in both categories were closer to the bottom. So.
Oh. Why? Who did you pick?
Category 1, I picked Laurel Lance.
Okay.
And in category 2, I picked Felicity Smoke.
Oh.
Because the nerd in me really wants to just talk to Hacker Felicity, because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, she would be fun. I was teetering, but it was between her or Patty Spivot for sure. But I think Patty just won me over, just the way she was on The Flash when we first saw her. So
she was pretty great.
Yeah. Well, cool. And poll number 3 was the actress or person, them as a human being that you would love to get to know. Who walked away with that one?
That one would be Emily Bett-Rickards. Miss Felicity Smoke.
Good. Well, I think she is a pretty neat person, just from what I saw in interviews and some of her. She posts the odd video every once in a while on her as a Twitter and Facebook page. She does the odd video, kind of like Stephen Amell does, and she seems pretty fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for posting on that and giving us some results. That was very cool. And next week there'll be another poll. What we're going to do, you'll just have to wait and find out.
Even I don't know what's about to happen.
Flash has to keep a couple secrets from the villainess that is Harley Quinn.
It's probably for the best.
All right. Well, we do have a tiny bit of news.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
What do we got this week?
Well, just for those that were curious, we did find out why that our show was moved last week, and they actually moved it. They moved both Flash and Legends because they aired the season finale of a short that they started with on the CW Seed called Tough Mudder.
Okay.
And yeah, and so what that was is I didn't get a chance to go and watch it, but it seemed kind of cool. I don't know. Have you heard of these Tough Mudder races that they're doing? I think they're all around the U.S. at this point.
Yeah, I think there's something like the Spartan races and different. They're like obstacle courses and marathons all mixed into one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those, and the short kind of focused on, I think, 6 different individuals or families. And so each person got their story told on the short. And so each episode was devoted to a different person. And then they aired the season finale, which they put on live TV. And so everybody was able to watch it and follow the conclusion of the story. It was called The Challenge Within. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kind of cool. But
so on that point, though, I saw some chatter that we might not have a show next week. Did you look into that as well?
I did. We do not have a show next week. We are off next week. We will return on March 7th. And I didn't find any reason as to why. I think it's just that they have too many episodes in The Flash and Arrow and not enough in Legends. And so it looks like it's just a spacer week. It was kind of what I think it was Karina that theorized that on the Facebook group. And I couldn't find any news to support a different theory. So that sounds the most likely thing to me.
So we will return on March 7th is what you're saying.
That is true. We'll be back on March 7th.
All right. Well, there you go. And then in other short news, we've got a little bit of info on the animated series Vixen. What they have done is they have taken all of Season 1 and all of Season 2 and combined it into one feature-length movie by combining all the episodes together. And that is being released on May 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I actually haven't seen Season 2 yet. I really enjoyed the first season, so I'm actually, this is very exciting. It'll be cool to check that out.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I think they're also going to include some new footage, which might be interesting to see as well.
Oh, that would be awesome. And what's cool about it is that it stars the voices of all of our actors from our various comic book shows, whether it's Flash, Legends, or Arrow. They're all in there, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, so it's nice that it's kind of, even though it's a cartoon, it's more seamless with the universe because it's the same voices at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of neat to see, well, to hear the actors that we know and love and then see them in an animated version themselves is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So if you haven't checked out Vixen, you can either wait for this release to come out or look for it. You can find it online somewhere, I'm sure. I think it's the CW Seed is where they have it.
Yeah, CW Seed is their digital content.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into our episode, our plot points. Where are we going to start tonight, Harley?
I actually wanted to start with the title.
Okay. What about the title?
Well, the title was Camelot 3000, and it kind of had a dual purpose to it. Camelot 3000 was actually a 12-issue limited series that was published by DC Comics from May of 1982 until April of 1985. And that was cool because the story took place in the year 3000, and it involved the reincarnated souls of a lot of the famous characters from the Arthurian legend. So I didn't get a chance to check it out, but there is a link that we can put in our blog post, and they list out the DC Wiki article lists out kind of a quick synopsis of what it was, and then all of the comics that were in the series. So if you're interested in that, you could go kind of seek that out and look it up. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. Good research there, partner. That's cool. I kind of heard of it, but I've totally forgotten about it, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it at all, and someone brought it up on Facebook, so I thought I would go search it out and put some information out there for those that are interested.
Right. Very cool. And then, like you said, you're going to put the link in our blog post, and that's something we're hoping to, or trying to add a little bit more to, is get some screenshots up and some more links and different things in our blog post, just to make it a little more interesting. And if that you hear us talking about something and you're like, oh, that sounds cool, you want to check it out, well, we're hopefully can provide ways for you to check that out. So, yeah.
Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a little bit more traffic over to the website.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our website's not a real big, flashy, fancy website. It's just attached to our media hosting site. But there is plans in the near future, and I don't know that it'll happen by this season, but I'm hoping over the summertime, spring and summer, I will have a nice, actual, flashy website for us up and running for the start of season 3.
Very cool.
Yeah. So there's some side news to you. All right.
Show news, always good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to our episode. Again, with the title, I like that 2 pieces of the spear were hidden in Camelot and the year 3000, which is where we got our title from.
Yeah. We didn't actually stay in the year 3000 very long at all. It was more just the opening scene, really, and that was it.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was cool to get in there, and we saw Dr. Midnight. I wasn't expecting to see him there, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And I like that. It was pretty ingenious that, well, at least once Rip was not evil, that he used the time scatter that he scattered our legends with at the beginning of this season. He had done that previously to hide the pieces of the spear with the JSA, so I thought that was neat.
Mm-hmm. Well, did he actually use the time scatter, or did he just go on that mission with them and they found the spear? He explained the whole thing, and then they were all willing to go to different time periods, and he just took them there.
I thought he actually I thought they used the phrase time scatter, but I don't, or she might have just said that he scattered them through time.
Right, so that's probably what I heard, and that's why I was thinking, yeah, maybe he just took them all around.
Took them all. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what he really did, because there's still a fourth piece out there. We only know what happened to 3 of the pieces.
Right.
There's Rip's piece, Dr. Midnight's piece, and Stargirl's piece. So is the 4th piece, I guess that has to be with Citizen Steel's grandfather was... What was his name? What's his name?
Your mind blank is making me mind blank. But they
Okay.
Reverse Flash killed him, though. Did he?
He killed Rex Tyler.
Or Rex Tyler. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah, he killed Our Man.
Yeah, so it could be with, or it could be with what was Lance Henriksen's character?
Well, but Obsidian didn't go on this mission.
That's right.
He was the one who told us that everybody died because no one ever came back. But now we learn that the reason they never came back is because Rip scattered them throughout the time stream or whatever, throughout time to hide the Spear of Destiny.
Right. Your memory is far more in tune tonight than mine is. That's right. Now you're reminding me of everything. So that's right. It probably is with Nate's grandfather and... Yeah, I can't remember his character name, that JSA member. But yeah, I'm guessing that's where it's going to have to be.
Yeah, Commander Steel. Commander Steel.
Sure.
We're going with it.
Yeah. But like you were saying, now we know why no one returned from Leipzig. I think this is really, really cool because now it's all connecting. We're getting answers to questions. I just think the writers are so with us this season. Like they're giving us huge payoffs for our patience. They're not creating elements in the story from previous episodes that we never get answers to, and it leaves us wondering. They're continually coming back and giving us, like clarification on things and just solving mysteries for us and everything. And I love it. Mm-hmm. The writers are really, really in tune and really on par with things. They're not forgetting about anything. This is just really, really making me happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. This wasn't a plot point I actually expected to pay off. I sort of took this information at face value and assumed that they did die in Leipzig or whatever in 1956. Like I was like, okay, they're gone, move on. That's really sad. But I'm kind of glad that they brought it full circle and we get to see what actually happened to them. They didn't die. They just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's cool. It's very, very cool. So there we are in the future and we see, well, this is when we see Dr. Midnight and he's sitting there working on something. And I mean, future tech. So it's very, very cool.
Yeah. So basically he's created a biomorphic implant capable of altering everyone's neural processes that have the thing attached to them. And his original intent was to get rid of violence, but Rip kind of has come in and he's confronting him and looking for the spear. And he's like, well, what's this? And he's explaining how it works. He's like, I've got other ideas for this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's basically mind control.
Yeah, and I mean, at that moment, Dr. Midnight has no idea that Rip has changed, so he's obviously divulging everything about it because he trusts him, and
yeah,
not good at all when Rip starts seeing the potential of it from an evil perspective. Yeah, not good news.
No, not at all. I do love Evil Rip though.
Yeah, I am too. It looks like there was quite a bit of talk about that on our Facebook page this week. There's a few people that are saying, no, I don't want Rip to be evil. I want the good Rip back. And I don't know. I am still of the mindset that I love this evil Rip. I mean, he is playing him so well. He is completely vile and completely nasty. He does not give one iota at all.
Nope. He's killing it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So where this is going to lead to, I don't know. Does this mean we're eventually going to kill him off, or will they eventually save him and fix his brain? I don't know.
I don't know either, but I am excited to find out.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right.
Here we see him getting Mr. Nasty again, and essentially he guts open Dr. Midnight because he realizes that the piece of the spear must be inside him somewhere.
Yeah, I was sad about this.
Yeah.
I mean, just as our legends have figured out where the spear is, it just as quickly disappears. And Gideon says that she lost it. They're like, wait, what? So they go there and they find him and he's already dead. I was like, oh, I kind of would have liked to have seen more of him. I would have liked to have seen more of the JSA, but it just feels like they're kind of killing them off or alienating them one by one, because Stargirl also, we learn at the end of the episode, she just wants to stay in Camelot. She has no desire to join the Legends or refine the rest of the JSA, nothing like that.
No, yeah.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting move, especially because they made such a big deal this season about the JSA being a part of it. But the JSA is not really a part of it. They're all dying, or they were in the first 2 episodes, and then we didn't hear anything about them until this episode, really. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, did the writers feel like the JSA team didn't really work? So they're writing them off this way, or was this their plan all along? To make it dramatic, to make it like there's definitely something on the line here for our Legends to have to stop because they're killing off the JSA. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it, other than they're making it so that Vixen, I guess, can't go back to the JSA in a way, so that she has to stay on our team, which I like her as a part of their team, as long as they keep the romance to a minimum with her and Nate. I'm okay with it. But I don't know why they're trying to kill them off. I don't know. I can't figure out the angle here, unless at the end of the season they're going to end up rewriting Destiny after all in some way, shape, or form, and then they'll still be alive.
Oh, yeah, you may have just pulled on what the writers are doing there. We're going to lose everybody, and it's going to seem like, one massive depressing loss, and they're going to put the spear together and be able to rewrite reality and set everything back straight. And boom, we start season 3 nice and fresh.
That's true. It could also be a way to get rid of any residual Flashpoint issues as well.
Yeah, or time aberrations or anything like that.
Exactly. I just have this funny feeling that they're chasing the Spear of Destiny all through this season to use as a giant reset on the whole universe.
Which, and I think I'll be okay with that. That's not so bad.
Depends on what they do.
Yeah, it'll depend on how they do it. But I'm trusting them because they're doing so good with this season right now. So I'm trusting them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're killing it this season. It's so good. I'm totally on board for the ride. I don't even really know where they're going with it. I'm just happy to be watching it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I got.
There doesn't have to be a plan. There doesn't have to be, like, every episode, we don't know what's coming. We have no idea. They're kind of all over the place, and yet it's totally okay that they're all over the place because every episode is such good storytelling.
And it all still surprisingly ties together.
Yeah.
There's always a string of something in the middle of it that ties all together, whether it's the Spear of Destiny or the Legion of Doom or the JSA. They're all interconnected now, which I was not expecting. I was not expecting the JSA to be interconnected with the Spear of Destiny business. I kind of thought they had moved on from the JSA.
Yeah, I didn't expect to see them again either, but I guess there had to be some type of full circle. That was an open end that they hadn't tied off yet, so I'm glad. I'm glad that they're actually somehow, whether it's good or bad, whether you like it or not, that they're killing them off. At least there's some type of, again, the writers aren't leaving anything untold, so it's good.
That's true. And, I mean, they kind of made it believable, right? So we've got Dr. Midnight. He dies, but we've got some repercussions for that because Amaya, that was, one of her friends. So she's obviously pretty upset about that. She lashes out at Sara, basically blaming her for Dr. Midnight's death. But
yeah, well, it's hard not to blame her in that moment.
I guess.
I
really don't feel like it's Sarah's fault. I think if anybody should be blamed, it's the Legion of Doom, the Reverse Flash, the people that actually altered Rip's brain.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess the time period that Amaya comes from, there's no rehab, there's no questioning someone. It's eye for an eye type of justice, I think, is how she goes about things, right? So
yeah, she definitely does. And sometimes she's a little feisty, doesn't really think everything through. It immediately kind of reactionary. You know what I mean? The same thing happened when Rex Tyler died. She just reacted. She stowed away aboard the Waverider, and now we have her. So
yeah, exactly.
That's just kind of what she does. She just reacts and then figures it out later.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. All right, so then we come to Gideon finding another piece of the spear all the way back in 502 AD, which just happens to be the time of Camelot and King Arthur. Yay!
Oh, this is so exciting.
I mean, what a change. It's not even night and day. It's such a total opposite change from futuristic 3000 to King Arthur
to
time
Camelot.
period. Yeah.
Exactly.
But still, very, very cool. And one of the things we find out is that Stargirl has disguised herself as Merlin.
And this was so awesome.
It was so cool. I mean, the fact that she can do that and kind of, I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but we see her in the battle when she's using her staff, her staff of power, and she's using it as Merlin's magical staff because he always had one. It's a perfect disguise. And it was so cool.
It totally is. Yeah, it completely fit. I love that she basically lands in this kingdom and essentially kind of created Camelot in a lot of ways. I mean, she adopted herself, her identity as Merlin the Wizard, and then I don't know if I guess she just happened to find people that, she formed into King Arthur's little court. I kind of liked that. That was fun.
Okay, this is where I'm a little bit confused. Yeah. You're saying she kind of created Camelot. Nate kept saying it's only legend and not actual history. Yet there it is. So I'm confused because Stargirl doesn't have any creation powers. There obviously has to be some type of actual historical account that happened with King Arthur. I don't think they're stories that were truly written and made up, were they?
They're, for the most part, I believe, made up. There's it's a legend. It's kind of like a folklore, kind of like Robin Hood. You know what I mean?
Okay, but based on actual people, an actual account of something where it, like it just grew into a story.
Sort of. Because I've done some research on this and I haven't done it recently. I mean, like in the past, I've done some research on this, just trying to figure out if King Arthur was actually a real person. And I don't know that there's a specific man that they can pinpoint in history as being King Arthur, especially like from that time period, because I don't think their record keeping was quite very good in 502 AD. It was after the fall of the Roman Empire. I mean, everything was in shambles. It was a very like dark time period, and everybody was kind of all over the place. And so the idea of King Arthur is that he came together and he brought the whole kingdom together, right? And he united everyone in this kind of glorious, amazing time period, or time, reign of not tyranny. He was, I don't know a good way to describe it, but
yeah,
he was kind of like, he was the knight in shining armor. He was King Arthur, but I don't know that it was really a specific person that you could pinpoint and say this was King Arthur. I think there's people that they've alluded to as being the basis of King Arthur, but I mean, it was more or less some form of like folklore legend. I think, not an actual accounting of history.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. There's a lot of stories that are based loosely on, well, like stories that, fathers pass on to sons, and
yeah, exactly.
Things like that. Or back in those days, it was like the jesters of the court telling stories and things like that. So those kind of things pass on, and of course they, like gossip, they grow and get more elaborate as they get passed on.
Mm-hmm.
People add their own little bit to it. So maybe that's really what King Arthur is all about. But if you could actually get on a time machine and go back in time, I bet you would find someone somewhere that this started from.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's got to be someone somewhere that planted the seed, kind of, and then it just grew from there. Mm-hmm. So that would be interesting. That would be really interesting to get in a time machine and be able to go see that. But I think what Stargirl kind of did is that she just found people in the time period, and let's just say, for argument's sake and for the plot of the episode, they happened to be named Arthur and Guinevere and Galahad. And so she formed basically, the Knights of the Round Table in King Arthur's court, just as it was according to legend. And then she, of course, became Merlin.
Right. Well, and this just the same as in the stories, Merlin kind of advised Arthur to do all of this. So it makes sense. She basically probably was the advisor to grow it. So yeah, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing they kind of did a little different was, I mean, according to the legend, Arthur pulled Excalibur out of the stone, and that's how he became the king. Mm-hmm. But she actually put the tip of the spear on a sword, and it remained in the stone. It was in the court, but it was still in the stone. And so that's how she ended up hiding the spear, which was pretty cool. But so that differed a little bit. But
yeah, a little bit different. I mean, they have creative liberty to change things up a little bit, and it made sense. It's a great hiding spot for the tip of the spear.
Oh yeah, no, it was
Very
great.
Cool.
I loved that reveal.
Yeah, cool. But so we'll come right around back to that again, because there's a little bit of scene when we first saw the spear, so we'll come back to that. But there's another point here that you wanted to talk about with the final mission of the JSA.
Yeah, so we've touched on this a little bit, but at this point in the episode, we're talking with Stargirl, and she's explaining the whole history. So, of course, Rip, he led what was left of the JSA on their final mission. And the question is, though, because she refers to him as a time master, I don't think that I don't know that she knew who he was, but she knew he was a time master. Mm-hmm. And so the question really is, when is this for Rip? We know when it is for the other characters. I mean, for the JSA, it's right in line with their story arc, and then they disappear on their final mission. But when is this for Rip? Because he's still a time master. He has done this at some point. I would assume before the events of season 1, because the vanishing point would still have existed and all of the Time Masters would still have existed at that point. And when he recruited our entire team in season 1, he was no longer technically a Time Master. Mm-hmm. He was on the run from them. So I think for Rip, when he did all of this, it had to have been before season 1.
Yeah, I think you basically just talked yourself into your own answer. Yeah, that's where I was going with it too. I believe that was just part of his running around as a Time Master, saving the timeline, and this spear became known, and so he went on a mission. That was just one of his missions with Gideon: go back in time, recruit some help, and go find the spear. And the JSA at that time was the help that he found, and he went on that mission with them. They found the spear, they broke it up into 4 pieces, and all agreed to take a piece and scatter through time. So what that leads me is that Evil Rip now has all of his memories. He knows what he did before. And so using that trust of the JSA that they have in him as his cover, that's why he was able to fool Dr. Midnight. And he remembers everything. So I think that kind of leads into like last episode when he had said he has no wife and no son anymore, so why bother saving history?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's what leads me to believe that he does remember everything. He's just, whatever they did to his brain, he's evil now, and it doesn't matter. He has no concern at all about anything, because I'm guessing because he lost his wife and son. That's part of the reason why he's so angry. Maybe when he gets the Spear of Destiny, he's going to try to get them back. We don't know anything about that yet. But anyway, my point being is he knows everything. He remembers everything that he did before, previous to season 1, and everything that he's done. So that's what's making him such a great villain, because of the knowledge that he now retains.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is he does remember everything, and he knows everything that has happened. But the problem is he's now on the wrong side. So,
but it makes him a great villain.
Absolutely. With
someone with that much knowledge, both about history and the future, and about our team of heroes. It's, there was a hint of this, a hint in this episode when him and Damien Dark were on horseback during the battle, and Rip was kind of in command of the army, and he started kind of barking orders at Damien, and Damien took off his mask, and he's like, let's get one thing clear. You don't speak to me like that, kind of thing. You talk to me with respect, because I'm not under your mind control, kind of thing. So I'm getting a feeling that Rip is starting to realize he should be the leader of the Legion of Doom. I think he might eventually start kind of trying to take over. I don't know. Do you get what I'm feeling?
Now that would be interesting. I hadn't thought about that, of him trying to take over the Legion of Doom, because he has all of this knowledge and all of this information, and now the ability to travel through time again. Now that's quite interesting.
It hit me this episode. I go, Rip's starting to realize the power that he actually has.
I think so, yeah. Or at the very least, realize that he's got more power than Damien Dark.
Right.
Which is probably a problem for Damien. But
yeah. Well, I mean, because even when Damien kind of slapped him down there a little bit, or not slapped him down, what's the word I'm thinking? Kind of scolded him. When Damien scolded him, Rip didn't look too pleased about it. He just, like, yeah, whatever, kind of look on his face. So that's what was leading me to think that, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. I'm really interested now to see what happens with that.
Cool. What do we got next?
All right. Well, I wanted to talk about Ray a little bit, because he was adorable throughout the entire episode.
Man. Yes.
He was just like a total fanboy, which I can totally relate to, because I probably would have done the exact same things if I found myself in King Arthur's court, to be perfectly honest.
Me too.
So it was great. I loved all of the little scenes that we had. I loved, the scene with him and Galahad. That was really kind of cute. And it was nice to see him enjoy himself. And he was totally swept up in this whole cause to save the realm. He was very in the moment. And I think of all the characters this week, he was very living within that time period. And that was pretty cool to see, because we don't see him do that a lot, I don't feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for Ray as the character, and also great for Brandon Routh, the actor, because this essentially was his episode to shine in. I felt like he was really the focal point, the center point. Even though there's a lot of stuff going on, it really was his episode, and that was just enjoyable to watch. And both for the character and for the actor, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's I've got just kind of a couple notes in here. The whole thing with him and Nate. Now, Nate at one point, and we've seen this before because they actually showed us this in the pilot. They showed they showed Ray in King Arthur's court, like when Nate was talking to Oliver. And so I like that was a nice callback in this episode. Yeah, we saw that same picture of him getting knighted by Guinevere.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that was cool. I don't think they showed his death, but when Nate looked back in this episode, he definitely found a picture of Ray dying. And so that's why he was kind of trying to talk him out of being so caught up in this whole Camelot business the entire episode.
Right.
He's like, this isn't real. This isn't really history. You have to snap out of it. And he's like, you really can't do this. He's like, I've seen your death. It's in this book. And so, yeah, that was kind of an interesting dynamic, because you have Ray so immersed in that time period, and he's like a little kid. And then Nate is kind of like, okay, you need to come back down to earth. And I realize that we are back in history, but this is not that it's not history, but, well, I guess he says that though. He keeps talking about how it's legend and that this place shouldn't exist and all of that, which is true, I guess. But
yeah, and again, that's where I'm asking, like, is it legend or is it history? Because
I think it's more like folklore, kind of a blending of the two.
Yeah, and I was actually, this is the first time all season that I was kind of annoyed with Nate. He was really kind of bugging me. He was a party pooper and not getting into it. I mean, of all things, you would have thought he might have had fun with Ray there, but he's such a altruistic historian that he just won't accept anything that's not purely historical truth. So he actually bugged me. I didn't like him much this episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, he didn't bother me. I actually thought it was kind of sweet that he was trying to save Ray. I mean,
yes,
he doesn't want him to die. And
no, I the sentiment behind it, yes, but just the way he was going about it was kind of annoying. He wasn't really being supportive of his buddy at all. You could have been supportive and still try to help him understand that this is unsafe for him, but he was kind of being a bit of a jerk about it.
Yeah, that's true. But that's kind of their dynamic. I feel like they bicker like an old married couple all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do. They do it almost every episode, which is, I don't know. It's usually pretty funny. This episode wasn't so much funny, but I felt like it was because Nate was coming from a place of true concern for Ray. But that didn't bother me. My nitpick is something entirely different.
Okay.
But we'll save that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to kind of a different point. So, speaking of Camelot and the spear and the stone,
okay.
I felt like Amaya she seemed a little overeager to me to secure the piece of the spear, and almost as if she has another motive, like possibly saving Rex Tyler once they reunite all pieces of the spear.
Yeah, like that's a good question, and I actually didn't think of it much, and now when I mentally go back over the episode and realize, yeah, she was a little bit
She's very
overeager as
pushy.
you push, as you put it. So I'm not sure where that comes from or why she would be like that. It could be an angle because I don't know, like team members are kind of going down. She already had her team fall apart once, so she doesn't want her new team to also fall apart. Could be the fact that Midnight was killed, and now they find Stargirl, and she's thinking, I don't know. Maybe she was getting into overprotection mode. I don't know.
That's possible. I don't know. It kind of struck me not the wrong way in that it was bad scenes or a bad plot point. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very on point with her character, but it just felt like there was something a little bit more behind it. Like she was pushing just a little too hard to get Stargirl to tell her where it was.
Yeah, no, she was, and very blatant and obvious too. Like, I mean, just the way she worded, she goes, "What? You're not even going to tell me where the spear
Exactly.
is?" like a almost entitlement kind of angle to it.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt that was interesting, but I've got to say, it was totally awesome when she pulled it out of the stone. I liked it.
The triple animal spirit call, right?
Yeah, that was awesome. So I think did you write down what the animals were?
Yeah.
One was a gorilla, for sure.
It was gorilla, then hawk, then a bear.
Interesting.
And the thing is she did 3 of them at once, so it makes you think that she's stacking the spirits up on each other, because we've never seen her do that before.
Right.
So I'm wondering, what does that combination mean? I mean, at first you'd think, okay, if she's pulling the sword out of the stone, she needs all the strength she can get. So, okay, gorilla and a bear makes a lot of sense, but a hawk doesn't have strength. So I'm thinking that's got to connect to something else, and you got to tie it back to the legend of Camelot and what it takes to actually pull the sword. And when you realize what King Arthur had, he's got to be pure of spirit, he's got to have courage and those type of things. Like, what other aspects was it that Arthur needed to pull the sword out?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
But you know what I'm getting at. Like I said, pure of spirit, courage, and I mean, yeah, loyalty,
everything that he embodied.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, how do those animals possibly connect to those very same type of embodiments? And I think that's what she pulled upon to be able to get the sword out.
I like that. That makes a lot more sense than using the physical attributes, which is normally what she does. And when you see the gorilla at first, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then the hawk, I didn't get that at all. And then the bear, I was like, well, that could go back to strength again. But yeah, it was kind of confusing. So I like that you're tying it back in to more like spiritual type of things, like, she has to be pure of spirit and courageous and, those types of things. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Now we could just figure it out exactly what she was pulling on, and then that would totally solidify my idea.
I know. Maybe they'll outline it for us in an episode.
Right.
That would be awesome. All right. So this scene bothered me. So this is the escape scene. And this is obviously after Amaya has freed the piece of the spear. She has her little confrontation with Stargirl. And then they decide that they've got to go. The only problem is that they can't convince Ray to leave. So this scene bothered me. I didn't like that they were all... Well, I guess they weren't all. I didn't like that Sara was actually willing to leave him behind. I felt like that of all the people, especially based on her conversation with Amaya earlier, that she would be the one saying, no, we can't, of course we can't leave without Ray. But here she was like, no, yeah, you're right, we should go. And then Mick's like, no, I don't think so. We're not leaving Haircut behind.
Yeah.
The whole scene bothered me. It felt out of character for her. What do you think?
Yeah, well, out of character. It seemed backwards, like reverse characterizations of heroes, because Sara for so long now has been pushing that the team comes first and leave nobody behind and save the team first. Like that's what she's been pushing for how many episodes now. So it was really odd that she was just that easily, oh, he chose to stay, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, it felt weird. And then the whole scene, I thought, with the whole team standing up to her, starting with Mick, was a little bit odd feeling, because they've been pretty good at obeying her orders or listening to her commands, but this time they didn't agree with her, so they stood up to her. And it felt weird at first, but she she listens to what they have to say, and you could see her think about it real quick, and she kind of womans up and agrees with them, and then immediately takes command again and starts, telling them, you do this, you do that, you do that, and they're like, yes, sir. So after all, I ended up liking it, because the team's willing to tell her that she's wrong and come together as a team, and then she's willing to listen and realize that, okay, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to know everything and have all the right decisions. So my team has come to me with their concern, and they're actually right. So I'm going to change my decision. Let's go. And I ended up liking it. Even though it felt awkward in the beginning, it ended up coming out as a cool scene.
Yeah. From that perspective, yeah, it did. It just, it bothered me. It just felt like everyone was kind of flipping sides, and everything was out of place and out of character. And
yeah. No, I agree with you there. It was out of character. I just was meaning that the scene itself kind of fixed itself. But so I'm hoping that is something that gets maybe addressed again. I don't know. We'll have to see.
It might. We'll have to see. But yeah, well, so they make this decision, and they leave behind Jax and Mick and Dr. Stein to try and figure out how to solve this mind control future techie stuff. Yes. I didn't like the explanation that we got.
Yeah, you had some trouble with that one too, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I've followed it. So it wasn't about intelligence or brain power as kind of Dr. Stein was thinking about it. It was more about intensity and what's truly locked inside your mind almost, because Rory is able to make all of the tech work. But I mean, he's a total meathead. He doesn't have a whole lot going on in the intelligence department, but apparently he's super intense, and when he focuses that energy, then that intenseness is good enough to control Dr. Stein. And then further than that, if he kind of embraced the darkness in his mind, that was what fried everything. It was really, really hand-wavy. Even for this show, it was really, really hand-wavy.
Yeah, you definitely didn't explain yourself into an answer this time. That still sounded pretty confusing. Well,
it's completely confusing.
Let me see here. I think that's maybe a little bit of an attempt to over-explain it, what you were trying to say.
Okay.
Just the intensity alone is what overpowered their circuits, because our brains are all electrical charges, basically. Our brain, and the way every time we think or we send a signal to our muscles or whatever, it's all electrical, like electricity, essentially. So it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with brain power. I think when someone is intense, such as Mick, when their emotions, their intensity when they think about something, I think fires the brain up with a lot of electrical charge. And I think that was what was sent over the circuits and overpowered their little devices on their heads, because he just had too much electrical current, essentially, because of how intense he was when he thought of his memories.
I'll buy that.
Okay, good, because that's about all I got.
They should have said that on the show.
Yeah, that's the way that I was taking it, is just what I just said.
I like it. I like that better. They should have said that on the show. The way that they explained it on the show was clunky. It didn't make any sense. And it was basically like the typical Flash explanation. If you just believe in yourself hard enough, you can do it. Like, okay, guys, we need a little bit more than just believe.
Well, that, and it also led us to have some very hilarious quotes for this week too. So,
oh my gosh, I almost literally wanted this to be just McRory week.
Yeah,
him and Dr. Stein. They just, a lot of it was super dry humor, so I got some of the really funny ones, I think, at the end, but throughout the entire show, I was like rolling on the floor with some of the just one-liners that Dr. Stein was throwing out. It was so funny.
True.
But a lot of good dialogue this week. A lot of good dialogue. But how about we talk about these final battles, and then we can talk about the final scene that we're dying to talk about.
All right. Well, I'm actually dying to talk about this battle because, oh my God, this was one cool battle scene. It was so well choreographed. It looked like something out of a movie in the medieval times, whether it be one of those King Arthur movies or something. It was very well done. Everybody was kicking butt, especially Sara and Amaya. Like, holy sword wielding skills. That was cool.
That was very cool.
And there was a little bit of comedy thrown in. Nate turning to steel just that once, and the soldier ran into him. Ding!
It was really funny.
Pretty funny. But I was actually surprised how bloody this was. We don't usually get that much violence or kind of gore on our show.
That's true. That's true. I didn't think about it.
Amaya was she had blood splattered all over her face, and you could hear the sound effects of it. They didn't show a lot, but you could just tell that there was a lot of ripping and tearing going on.
Yeah. No, there was blood and dirt all over everyone. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, but I loved it. That scene with Ray. When he goes flying up, he launches himself off the back of a fallen warrior and flies through the air. It was very Matrixy. It was very cool. It was his big heroic moment. It was awesome.
It was totally awesome, especially with that sword, like all electrified.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Yeah, come on, we didn't even talk about that stuff yet. The whole scene in the tent there when he's he's made some adjustments to his glove and his suit to transfer, what did he call it? He transferred the energy, the ionic energy to the sword, so it created like an electrical edge to it. And come on, it was cool. It was so cool. They're incorporating Star Wars, as I said. This was the first instance of it. Incorporating Star Wars into Camelot. And it had the sound effects of a lightsaber. That we're gonna save that for our quotes, but that knight, what the knight said was just priceless, and this is where Nate was bugging, because Nate just was not into it at all, and not even giving a hint of this is so cool, which I would have expected from him, because poor Ray was just loving every moment he had in this.
Yeah, I kind of just felt like that Nate was just concerned about Ray. And so he was like, okay, yeah, whatever, that's cool. But you're about to die. You can't go do this. And that's kind of what I kept coming back to. So that's kind of why I was like a little bit okay with Nate being kind of like a grumpy Gus this episode. But the whole lightsaber thing, that was pretty awesome.
It was. Absolutely loved it. But that leads us into, since we're talking about Ray and stuff, it leads us to the scene where he chases after Damien one-on-one. And I know you weren't too happy about this, so let me just continue on my high, and then you can try to pull me off my horse here, because no way. I just thought it was a wickedly awesome scene as well. Nothing mattered. I didn't care about Ray trying to take on Damien Dark or anything, because to me, Dark was in heavy armor and wielding a sword, which I think puts him on even ground with Ray, because neither of them have the experience fighting in those type of elements. They don't. Damien Dark sure uses a knife or whatever.
He's League of Assassins trained. He knows how to wield a sword.
Yeah, but with wearing all that heavy armor and stuff, I don't know. I just found it brought him down some enough that Ray could stand up to him. I mean, Ray didn't. Dark did eventually take him down. I just thought it leveled the playing field a little bit. I just thought the scene was so fantastic that those few points did not matter to me, because we see Ray so driven by his dream of saving this legend of Camelot and becoming part of it. The music and the scenery, this wintry scene and the cinematography of it was so dramatic and so epic on a Star Wars-like scale. I mean, it was so Luke Skywalker and Vader-like. It was very, very cool. That, to me, trumped any little nitpicks about the scene, because it was just done so well and so cool. I could watch that scene over and over a few times, because it was Ray and Dark, Luke and Vader, and just it was cool. It was so cool.
Yeah. Well, as a scene, I loved it. I loved so as a scene, I loved it, right? It was very beautifully shot. I loved the snow, like everything that was kind of around them, and the scenery was really pretty and really cool. And then you have this awesome sword fight going on. But that's kind of what bothered me, is that Ray has literally 0 sword skills. You know, he's not trained as a swordsman, whereas Damien Dark actually was. I mean, I'll give you that the heavy armor, that definitely could have kind of brought him down, because, I mean, League of Assassins, they're not fighting in heavy armor.
No,
that's
they're
for
ninjas.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're definitely not fighting in heavy armor like that. So I'll give you that point. Like, that was something I hadn't considered. I just feel like a League of Assassins trained swordsman is going to be, regardless of the armor, just a little bit more on his game than to let Ray kind of. I mean, Ray got some good blows and like knocked him off balance and knocked him down first. And then the only reason he got away is because he shot him with a blaster, or whatever we're calling that. I'm calling it a blaster.
Well, it is Star Wars themed, so why not?
Right. See, exactly. Basically, he, played on the fact that Ray's an honorable guy, and then shot him with a blaster and left him for dead.
Yeah, and the only way I'm going to counter the Ray standing into him is Ray is a little bit bigger, and I think probably a fair bit stronger than Damien Dark, just man to man. Yeah, Damien's got the martial arts skill and everything. So I think Ray does have some fighting skill. I mean, he was trained by Oliver back in the day or whatever. So he's no slouch.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the skill of a League of Assassins. So I think he could stand in there and get the odd shot in. I think it's just his strength and size over Damien that allowed him to get that one shot in to knock him over. So
overpower him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, you're still not getting me down off my high horse there. There's no way. That scene was way too cool.
No, it was. It was a very cool scene. I will say it was beautifully shot. A lot of this episode was very beautifully shot. I really liked that.
Yeah. Kudos to the cinematographer for sure. Okay. We've got a final scene here that brings up a lot of question, a lot of what the
exactly why okay, do you want me to dig in, start in with my questions?
Finish with your why what.
First question, why on earth does Sara save Rip, who's completely evil? Not that I think she should have killed him. Let me just caveat that. But why did she bring him on board the Waverider, knowing what he is? Why would you do that?
Yeah, and you know what? To even go along with that, did we not just see her argue with her team to not save Ray? So why go out of her way to save Rip? What's the deal here?
She wanted to strand her own teammate in Camelot.
Yeah.
But she decides to spare Rip and bring him on board the Waverider, knowing that he has a special connection with Gideon.
I don't know.
Or some connection with Gideon.
there's just some sense of still wanting to save him, just like she stated. I don't know. I guess they want to find out if he's beyond saving. If they...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. He's the one that recruited them. He's the one that brought them together, who started this family. So maybe she just feels this sense of loyalty that she owes it to him to save him somehow. Is he beyond saving? I guess that's what we have to find out through the rest of the season.
I don't know. I think if you leave his brain the way it is, he's never going to turn back to the team. You have to almost figure out what it is that Reverse Flash changed and change it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't think that he's completely beyond saving, but he would need to be reprogrammed, in for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah. Nope, I'm with you there for sure. So what did you think of...
Final quote.
Well, yeah, we're that one's coming up for sure, but what did you think of how Jax confronted him? I mean, Jax seems pretty pissed off and no longer wanting to save Rip. He's basically saying, if you hurt any of my team, I will end you.
Well, I think that's very interesting. It sounds like Sara's efforts were wasted and she should have just let Jax kill him to begin with. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm advocating for Rip to die, because like I said, I do actually love evil Rip. He's a great villain. I love to hate him right now. Like, it's so awesome.
That's what makes a good villain. Yeah. Loving to hate them.
Exactly. Yeah. I know. It's like, why are you people doing all of this? But it's like, I really don't want them to kill him off because I love hating him right now. He's a great villain.
Yeah, totally is.
But at this point, it's kind of like, okay, so Sara went to all that trouble to protect you from yourself, and you just come back here and basically lay back into Rip, and you're like, well, I'm going to kill him anyway, despite the fact that Sara has, saved me to protect me from carrying that burden. So I don't know. That part actually kind of bothered me just a little bit, just because Sara went to the trouble to talk him out of it to save him from himself, and then here he is just kind of throwing that favor away, saying, if you do anything, I'm going to kill you, kind of deal.
Yeah. And then this very, very last scene when he talks to Gideon.
I know.
What? That was shocking that he would just ask for her and she responds.
It was the same thing, the same phrase we've always heard, but those words were so chilling this week. Oh my God, the way he said them, the smirk on his face, and then it just ends. I was like, oh my God. It was amazing. But doesn't she know he's evil?
Well,
like, she's heard all the things they've been saying, and she's like witnessed all the things she didn't witness him coming on board the Waverider last time because she was out of commission, but doesn't she know he's evil?
Well, this is the thing. This is where it starts to challenge my whole idea of her becoming sentient, or she is sentient, because she just might simply be programmed to obey him no matter what, because she is his ship. He is her captain and always will be, unless there's got to be some type of, I don't know, like a passing of the torch or handing over of the key. She was programmed to obey him and by the Time Masters from the far future. I don't think no matter what is done, she's just a computer on a ship.
And so, okay, so with each time ship, and then I guess each AI that's on each time ship, so they're basically assigned, or for lack of a better term, bonded with the captain, so that even though she's currently obeying, for lack of a better way to phrase this, she's currently like obeying Sara's commands, but the minute Rip sets foot back on the ship, that's her true master.
Yeah, see, and I really, really have to think about this, dive deep into it, because she has done things before when she didn't agree with members of the team. She's done things before. So I'm just wondering that with Rip, she's not able to. Maybe there's this undying loyalty. Maybe she is partially sentient with how much she has gone through in her computer life with Rip. She's just undyingly loyal to him no matter what. It worries me that he could potentially sway her to his side, and we also see evil Gideon.
I don't even think it's swaying. I think it's simply a matter of, you're here and I will obey your commands above all others.
Again, is that because she's just simply programmed to, or is that based on some type of loyalty to him?
I think it's going to come down to programming.
Right.
It has to. I mean, she's a computer at the end of the day.
But then again, you have to think she's been a little bit snarky as of late because our team, almost blew her up and things like that. She wasn't quite happy with them after that. So, yeah, I mean, she was willing to shut off life support. So maybe
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's worrying me more than anything else that has worried me before.
Oh my gosh.
I do not want to lose Gideon to this dark side.
Yeah, talk about a cliffhanger. Oof, it's a good one. And we've got what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, we do. So we're left hanging on that. Yeah,
we are.
Well, if that isn't a nitpick, then I bet we have something that is.
Form of water.
So what do you got for us this week?
I definitely do this week.
All right.
I was bothered again by all of this romance business. It really bothered me that pretty much all of the women on the show in this episode all had love interests or something that in some way, shape, or form alluded back to some sort of romantic relationship.
Okay.
It bothered me. I felt like it was very unnecessary. We have very strong women characters, very, very strong, and they all have multiple purposes on this show, and almost every single one of them came back to an underlying romance, and it bothered me.
Okay, well let's go through them one character at a time, because I actually didn't feel this, so I want you to explain to me what gave you that feeling for each one. Like, start with Sara and then Amaya, and tell me what's giving you that feeling.
Well, Sarah's quote unquote love interest or romantic interest was pretty blatantly obvious.
Oh, at the very end you're talking.
Well, it was all throughout. I mean, you kind of got an inkling of her and Guinevere from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
And then at the very end, I mean, they had that whole scene together, and then of course, Ray's like, well, it's not a legend if you don't give her the kiss, or the girl doesn't get the kiss, or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what he said. Something about a kiss. And so, of course, she goes back and kisses her. And I was like, okay, do we have to do this every episode? It feels like it's every episode. There's some sort of romantic angle. Okay, so that was the whole thing with Sara. And then you have the whole thing with Amaya, because it was coming in. At first, there was a little bit of tension with her and Nate, and then after that, it was revolving around everything with Rex Tyler, because Stargirl threw it in her face. She's like, "Well, you didn't exactly join the JSA just to be a part of the JSA," basically saying you joined it for Rex. And then we find out that Stargirl, the only reason she has stayed in Camelot and wants to continue to stay in Camelot is that she's in love with Arthur. And I'm like, no, you should. 1, you were there protecting the Spear of Destiny. 2, you're now Merlin the Magician, which is totally amazing. I mean, come on. You had anyway. Okay. So those were the 3.
Okay, well, I actually now that I didn't realize that bit about Stargirl. I totally forgot about that. That's right. She was wanting to stay behind for King Arthur. So okay, I can't disagree with you on that one. The Amaya one, yeah, I guess, yeah, it was kind of revenge felt or something. I was still confused as to why she was being so aggressive about everything. But the Sara one, This is what we complained about at the start of the season, was how she was so... Every episode was her, you know... What's the saying with her? One more happy... What was that saying about all the women she's turning over?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I don't remember exactly what she said.
One more lady, happily something. Anyway, but that's what was bugging us. And then it hasn't happened for quite a few episodes. So when I saw it this time with Guinevere as it was going through, I was like, oh, yeah, please don't do it too much. And I was quite happy for a moment when they hadn't done anything. There was just hints of flirting, and that was it. Until the very end, and you could tell something was about to happen, but then Ray interrupted him. I thought, yes, he interrupted. Good. There's not going to be anything like that. And then, of course, he goes and eggs her on. You know, every good legend ends with a kiss. I'm like, oh, Ray, come on.
I know.
But
it just, yeah.
It was short.
Sorry.
It was not as bad as what we've seen with her before, so I was okay with Sarah's part of it.
Yeah, I just don't like that they reduce women characters to having their sole purpose be revolving around romance, because we have such strong women characters on this show that should not be their underlying motive for everything.
Yep, no, I totally agree with you there for sure.
That bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was my nitpick. What was yours?
Valid. Mine's only a tiny little one because I love this episode so much. And it's kind of related to yours, I guess. But I just hated the beginning when Nate and Amaya were bickering. It
yes.
annoyed me to no end. I do not need to see that. That's such childish teenage... I don't know it, and bickering in front of the whole team. And I absolutely love when Sara just said, I got an idea. Why don't you shut up?
Yes.
Loved it. She basically spoke for the entire audience by saying that, because it's exactly what I was thinking. Shut up. Oh my God, this is so annoying. Please be over with those two, please. Yeah,
that bothered me.
So that
bothered me a lot. That ties back in my romance angle.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get on to something fun. It is time for Quote of the Week.
Shape out an eagle!
Yay.
I was waiting
something
for it. Where's Harley's little yay? Cool. So for funny quotes, what was our winner from last week?
The winner was Tell It Like It Is.
Seriously, you idiots haven't figured this out by now. It all started when we blew up the Time Pigs, the Time Masters. Now history's all screwed up, and it's up to us to unscrew it up. But half the time we screw things up even worse. So don't call us heroes, we're something else. We're legends. Who writes this crap anyway?
Oh my God. Can I just vote for that to be quote of the season?
Yes, absolutely. 100% done.
Oh my God. I just love it. Cannot stop ear to ear grinning about that one.
I know. That was my favorite, hands down.
It must have had all the votes. There must not have been any other votes for any of the other ones, I'm guessing.
It definitely was the landslide. That's for sure.
Cool. What you got for us this week, Harley?
All right. This week, the first quote is in vogue.
And I'm not even touching skin disease.
Speaking of which, why did you choose to dress like a leper?
I didn't. This is historically accurate. You all look like you're going to a Renaissance fair.
That one amused me.
He was quite defensive.
He was very defensive.
All right, quote number 2.
Trademark issues.
I couldn't resist. It's like a saber made of light. Yeah. Just don't call it a lightsaber. Major trademark issues, right? Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, God, I love the Star Wars references. It's just too much fun.
I know.
Okay, quote number 3.
Quote number 3 is true calling.
What do you want me to do?
Just rest your brain, Mr. Rory.
We'll let you know when it's time to take control of the evil army.
Ah, finally, I get to fulfill my destiny.
God help us.
This is what I'm talking about. That was great.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Nick. Controlling the evil army. Aha! Yep, perfect. All right, what's our fourth quote?
The fourth quote is admittance of truth.
Surely you must admit that it's not a superior intelligence, but rather the murky depths of your mind that proved vital.
Just admit it. My brain saved the day.
I will admit nothing of the sort.
There's something about those two together. It's actually becoming quite a fun pair to watch.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, between the two of them, they both usually get the good quippy one-liners. Then when you just put them together, I mean...
It's priceless.
Exactly. I could have done quote of the week of just Mick Rory and Martin Stein. Like, seriously.
So true, so true. All right, I threw one little extra one in here because I just thought it was... It's so blatantly, obviously, an attempt to be funny, but I still laughed. So here's our last one, which is called What's in a Name?
I just wanted to say goodbye. I enjoyed meeting you.
And I you, Sarah Lance. A lot.
Sarah Lance a lot.
It was just, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny to me.
It's good.
But there you go. There's our...
All right. You ready for your scenes?
I am ready for my scenes. It actually took me a little bit to find some. I went through... It was almost halfway through the episode before I started getting to the ones I wanted to use, so...
Yeah. Well, there wasn't... I don't feel like there was as many in the beginning, for sure. Mm-hmm. So...
But before I do that, our winner from last week was Saving Private Jax.
He's with the Legion now. The riff we knew is gone.
You know what day it is, Jax? It's December 25th. It's Christmas. It's when we remember to be our best selves.
Why are you protecting him?
I'm not protecting him. I'm protecting you.
That was a good one. Such a good one.
That was, well, last week had quite a few.
It did.
Quite a few ones to pull from. So tough call, but.
Yeah. Well, what do you have for us this week?
All right. This week, our first one is Wisdom from Experience.
Guinevere, wait. Look. Sometimes the mantle, it just falls into your lap. Trust me. I know that is hard. You're clever. You're brave. And you are a natural-born commander. I know you can do this.
Yeah, good old Sara, passing on some wisdom of being a leader, I guess.
Yeah, that was a great quote. That was one of my favorites of the episode. I really liked that one. I liked that scene of the two of them.
Yeah.
Didn't have to be reduced to romance. Anyway, what do you have for our second quote?
Number 2 is Dreams in Peril.
Dude, what are they doing? These guys don't stand a chance out there. Is this really worth the risk for some dream?
Yes. Because a long time ago, that dream meant the world to a little boy. And he still remembers.
This isn't gonna end well.
That was a good one, too.
Yeah, see, I think where Mick and Stein may have had the funny lines, I think Ray really had probably the best lines and the best scenes in this. So,
oh yeah,
like you had a couple Mick quotes, I've got a couple Ray quotes, because quote number 3 is Legendary Fate.
In case you weren't listening, this is the part where we run.
I can't.
Sure you can. Left foot, right foot, repeat. Let's go.
No. Nate, look around you. All of these men are willing to die on the battlefield. Not for some spear, but for an idea. And I get it now. Camelot isn't about history. It's not even about some dusty old books that got a lonely kid through childhood. is about one noble idea. That we can all stand up for what's right, no matter what. I can't walk away from that.
I believe you're right. I do. And Camelot's great. But if you don't leave right now, you're gonna die here.
Would it kill you to be just a little bit more supportive?
You don't get it, man. I checked the manuscript. I saw your funeral.
Well, sounds to me like the stuff legends are made of.
Oh, man.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, the music and everything, the emotion behind that. It's
it was a lot.
Just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I should say that these are no longer quotes. I keep calling them quotes, but these are scenes.
That is true. I keep calling them quotes too, but they are scenes. Although
we're in transition.
Okay. We are.
All right.
What's our last scene?
The last scene is loyal to the end.
Gideon.
I'm here, Captain.
You always are.
Oh, doesn't that send chills up your spine?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, but did you notice? I just caught this on re-listening to it. She hesitates when she says Captain.
Did she really?
I'm here, Captain.
Okay, I'm gonna replay it. Let's listen to that again.
Gideon.
I'm here, Captain.
You always are.
You are right.
A little bit.
But what does that hesitation mean? I'm here, Captain. Is that
programming? I don't know.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah, no, there's more to her than just programming. She is definitely, she's partially sentient. She has to be. She's been way too emotional.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt kind of forced though too. Like, I'm here, Captain. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, well, it could be two things. Is she saying, I'm here, Captain? Like, what are you going to ask of me? I'm not really comfortable with this. Or is she like, I'm here, Captain, like, I'm always with you, no matter what?
Because I have to be. I don't know.
Oh, man. This
last scene.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. All right. 2 weeks.
So good.
No, this show is just so fantastic this season. I cannot believe it.
I know. It was really good.
It is so good. Okay, now it's time to get some feedback. We got a little bit of feedback this week.
Yay! Planetary powers, activate!
All right, so let's start off. We've got an email from Sci-Fi Gene.
All right. Sci-Fi Gene. Ooh, it's a very short one. Says, I loved this episode, except for the fact that Rip Hunter is left conscious in a cell. They should have knocked him unconscious, kept him sedated, and started studying his brain via the chair. When I first saw Jefferson talking to Rip Hunter in a cell, all I could think of was, why is Rip Hunter still conscious? These are valid questions.
Those are valid points, yes. But
indeed.
I don't know. I don't know if we can, we feel the same, but how do we answer the question? Like, why would you not rip out?
Plot device.
Yeah, but maybe
to further the plot.
Maybe they trust Gideon that she knows he's evil and won't do anything. Maybe they think, I know there's questions about him being in that cell. People have questioned, well, doesn't he know how to get out of there? That's his ship, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they trust that cell. We haven't seen the cell for quite a while. Maybe it's pretty darn secure and he can't get out of there. But now that he talked to Gideon, he might just say, hey, open the door. So
yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, because he's got the connection to Gideon, and Gideon can control everything on the ship. So I think that is exactly what's going to happen. I think he's just biding his time. He's going to wait till everybody is comfortable or distracted or whatever, and then I'm sure he's going to let himself out. He's just going to have Gideon let him go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe our friend Green Butterfly has some answers for us.
Okay.
Hi, this is your Eye in the Sky Green Butterfly. Wow, that was an awesome episode. Ray had a lightsaber sword. Oh, sorry, copyright infringement. I love Sir Ray of the Palms. So the piece of the spear was in Excalibur, which was in the stone in Camelot. And I'm wondering if Amaya was able to take the sword out of the stone, not because she used the spirit of all the animals inside of her, because pulling the sword out of the stone has never been about strength. It's about worthiness to be the king of Camelot. So once the spear piece was infused in the sword, I wonder if Amaya was allowed to remove it because the legends are worthy of gathering the pieces of the spear so they don't fall into the hands of evil.
Oh.
Poor Sara.
Good point.
She was only trying to do what was right, and she gets in trouble for being too compassionate. This happened in Flash as well. Without being spoilery, I can say that Barry's compassion also caused trouble for him in this week's episode, and will ultimately cause more trouble for Central City. Just like Sarah's decision to not let Rip die on the battlefield and bring him onto the Waverider looks like it is going to cause her major trouble. And she's already saved Rip twice. Today on the battlefield, and last week when Jax was going to take him out in 1776. Of course I know that was mostly for Jack's soul, but Sara has spared Rip twice, and now it's Gideon on Rip's side. I think we're going to have problems. Our captain is still kissing her way through history, but I don't even care. This episode gets 10 out of 10. Legends visit the round table. Have a great week. Green Butterfly out.
I liked her rating. That's awesome.
Always funny.
Yeah.
Well, she made a good point in the beginning there about the possibilities of why Amaya took the sword out. So that I like that. That was a different angle. Kind of added to what I was trying to say about the animal spirits, right? So.
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely on the same page there. It was more about embodying, the spirit of what you need to have to be king, not just the strength to pull it out. So, like that.
Cool. Well, thank you, Green Butterfly.
Yeah, good to hear from you, as always.
As always. Next, we got an email from Arcphase. And he says, it's a bit of a lengthy one. Greetings, Wonder Twins. I thought this was an interesting episode with Camelot and the Knights of the Round Table. Who would have thought Merlin was Stargirl? Backtracking a bit, I just realized that the legends haven't really traveled a whole lot to the future since the destruction of the Time Masters. I wonder if we'll be going back anytime soon. Yeah, it's true. We have not seen a lot of the future.
Yeah, that's true. We saw a lot of it last season, though. So
yeah. The reveal that the JSA disappeared on their last mission was due to Rip entrusting them with pieces of the spear was unexpected. We also know now that there are 4 pieces. Oh yeah, that's true. We were wondering how many pieces there are.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that. But yeah, or did we mention that?
Nope. I think that's the first time.
Okay.
What I found weird, though, is why Damien Dark would leave Rip behind at the end, even though they have one more piece to find. Perhaps this was part of their plan to take the Waverider. Perhaps Nate's grandfather is the holder of the final piece. Odd we didn't see Malcolm Merlin or Reverse Flash, though. That's a series of good points.
It is. He's kind of on our same little wavelength there.
Well, about Nate's grandfather, sure, but I did not even question where's Malcolm Merlin and Reverse Flash. That is true. why weren't they there?
That's true.
And then...
I don't know. Yeah.
And then the whole idea of why Damien Dark would be willing to leave Rip behind, that's also a good point. Because you would think they still kind of needed Rip. But maybe that was Damien's way, a little bit of revenge because of them being villains for what Rip said to him on horseback when he was trying to kind of be in command. And Damien's like, you better respect me. So maybe he's just trying to get some of that respect back.
That's kind of like what I thought, but I don't know. That could go a couple different ways.
It could. Sonny says, also not sure why Rip didn't mind control Stargirl to get the piece of the spear. Wouldn't have it been easy considering how his new evil persona is intense even for us viewers? I don't know.
That would have been too easy.
Yeah. I guess, but maybe he couldn't get... I mean, you have to be willing to put on that little brain piece thing anyway, so maybe Stargirl might be smart enough to be like, nope. Anyway, he says, Amaya I thought was a bit back and forth with her decisions, which got me frustrated, going from, we have to take the spear to here you can have it in a matter of seconds, and same with when discussing about leaving Ray behind. Very indecisive she was this episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
That bothered me.
Yeah, that was definitely part of our complaints for sure. Well, seeing our legends become a part of history with Ray of the Palms and Sara Lancelot was a cool touch. We'll have to see what else they get themselves into next week, with the original captain back on his ship and Gideon still listening to him. Lots of trouble ahead from Arc Phase. Yeah, that's true. I liked how they did show the little flash of the history book there, and it showed Ray being crowned.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, aw, we didn't get to see him actually be king.
That would have been fun for sure.
That would have been awesome.
But I did like how he finished. He's like, no, I'd rather live my future kind of thing. Or what did he say? How did he word it? He said something like, I'd rather live my future as it goes. Something along those lines. It was kind of a neat quote I almost used.
Yeah, it was a good quote. I don't know exactly what he said, but I mean, basically it was like, I don't want to live in the past. I don't want to live in a history book. I want to live my life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, Arcface. Good to hear from you. Our last piece of feedback is a voicemail from our friend Jeff, X-Force11.
Hello, Flash and Harley. This is X-Force11 Jeff calling in for feedback on Camelot 3000. I thought it was an okay episode. I'm not really big on the Arthurian lore and things like that. I mean, it was really focused on Ray, and it's interesting, but I think we've had kind of a lot of focus on Ray in the last couple episodes this season. So I'm not anti-Ray, but I just thought, it was interesting, but not particularly for me. The one bit of feedback that I have, and Harley, I so agree with you. Why the relationships?
Yes.
Why? We had the whole Sara relationship. Can she not encourage a woman to be strong and be a good leader without coming on to her?
Thank you.
Does she have to make every relationship she's into a bisexual or a lesbian one? I mean, I know that's her character, that she's that in this reality, but does she have to bring it in every time with every woman that she gets close to in history? I'm just wondering. I mean, that's a kind of a poor trope to portray. But that's my nitpick. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next and seeing Rip on the loose on the Waverider and seeing what's going to happen to our team because of it. All right, X-Force11 out.
You've got a supporter there.
I totally do. Oh my gosh, Jeff, we were totally on the same page. You're going to laugh hysterically when you hear the feedback I submitted to Central City. Because it pretty much said the same thing.
I heard that today, actually.
Did you?
Yes.
I haven't been able to listen to that podcast yet, but...
Cool.
Anyway.
Well, thanks, Jeff. That was good to hear from you again. Been a few episodes, but we might have to talk to Jeff about getting him on here as in a guest hosting role sometime soon before the season's out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I had a lot of fun the last time we recorded when he stepped in for you. It was cool. So
yeah, for sure. All right, well, that is all of our feedback. So thank you everybody for that. It's awesome to always have you guys with us on our show.
yes, lots of good ones.
If you would like to be part of the show, you can send in feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com, spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends, also with one R. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
Cool. Well, we come to our relatively new section. Now, I posted a poll on Facebook about this, asking if fans want us to continue the flashpoints and straight shots. And I was actually surprised. It was a overwhelming yes. People are enjoying this part of the show.
All right.
So, I mean, we had, so the reason I want to bring that up is it was overwhelming. It was like 12 votes to 2 or something like that. That people want us to keep going on with it. But the 2 points that were against it are very valid points. So what I wanted to bring into that is that we're not going to, I think we're going to try to shorten these sections to, like a minute or less kind of thing, just to get out our general feel of them, because there are other podcasts out there that do cover Flash and Arrow, one of them of which I am now the host of, Arrow Squad. So you don't really need to hear my thoughts twice. But Central City Underground is the other one, and Joe and Tony are absolutely fantastic, and they cover that show. It's just, I think me and Harley just originally wanted to just express our take on those shows because we watch all 3 of them and we love them all. So it was just a quick highlight kind of thing. And it's because we started with that. When we first started our Wonder Twins podcast, we did 3 episodes that was only about Flash and Arrow. So just kind of tying it all back to that full circle, I guess, in our journey.
Yeah.
So if that is okay with everyone, we'll continue to do it. Just real quick without going into a lot of depth, because, yeah.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
All right, what flashpoints do you got this week, Harley?
All right, mine are quick and to the point. I thought Gorilla City was awesome. And I loved it. I loved the gladiator feel of the arena with all the gorillas and Flash running around in a crazy circle. And that was pretty awesome. Again, with the romance, man, they're killing me. But I have this nagging feeling they're going to kill Julian. And it makes me really sad because I actually really like his character.
Yeah.
I don't want him to die.
There's a lot of talk about that, and it could be Julian, it could be Joe, it could be HR. It's
God.
I don't know.
I mean, if I had to pick one of those 3, I would say I would pick HR to die, unfortunately.
And this is the thing, though, is that they're growing every character to make us like them all. So it doesn't matter who it is, it's going to suck.
I know. Really, I'm sad about that. But what were your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm a bit on a mixed boat here. I was so excited about it because it's Grodd, it's Gorilla City, and I loved all that stuff from the comic books and the cartoons. But there was something about this episode that felt me feeling a little bit let down about how they put it together, and I could never quite put my finger on it. So if you go over and listen to Joe and Tony on Central City Underground, they actually pinpointed everything about the episode that I was feeling about. So go check it out and you'll kind of understand it. And it's just a lot of little things that added up for me. It was still a good episode. It's just my expectations, I think, soared a little bit too high for it. Hopefully the second part is equally matches my enthusiasm waiting for it. So yeah.
Cool.
All right, here we go.
By day, I lead Star City as its mayor, but by night, I am someone else. I am something else. I am the Green Arrow.
All right, straight shots, Harley. It looks like you're covering 2 episodes here.
Well, we've had 2 episodes since to our 1 episode, but all right, real quick. All right,
Okay.
Spectre of the Gun. This was super intense. And I actually really loved the Renee storyline and backstory. I was completely, totally wrapped up in it. And until I was listening to your podcast, I didn't actually realize that the flashbacks, I mean, we're obviously getting Renee flashbacks, but I didn't even realize we never got any Oliver flashbacks. I was just kind of like so caught up in everything they were doing. And I liked that they tackled a controversial topic, and I felt that they did it well. I felt like they actually presented both sides of the argument instead of focusing on one side and pushing their own agenda.
Okay. Well, that's so relatively positive then towards...
Yeah. I thought it was very good. Very well done.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy even in the fan side of things about this episode. It was very polarly split 50-50, I think. As to some liking that... Yeah, just whether... Like some liked that Arrow would take this risk and some absolutely hated it. So me, I thought it was fine. I really enjoyed it. You heard I think I thoroughly defended what they were trying to do. And, no, it was good. It was intense as Pluto. What I liked most about it was that it was very heavy in the storyline about Oliver being the mayor and having to deal with this issue as the mayor and the leader of the city. So that's what I liked the most about it, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Mayor Oliver 2 weeks in a row because the episode this week, I really liked the new team dynamics with Dinah. I think it's kind of better now that there's, in a way, it seems like there's less of the quote unquote newbies, and we still have more of an old team feel because we have a Black Canary back, sort of. So I liked it. I really like that Susan's gone now. I don't like how they did it though. I thought that what Thea did was pretty cold. I didn't like that at all.
But is she gone? I think there's a lot more to that.
And see, I haven't listened to Arrow Squad yet, but do you? Interesting.
Yeah, I think I am still on the fence about whether that was actually her that leaked the info about Oliver covering it up or not. I have a feeling it's Prometheus that's doing that, still trying to ruin him, because there's a part of me that is thinking Susan is actually really starting to care about Oliver, and I felt that in this episode more than ever, that she was more concerned about him lying to her than she was about who he was behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm just wondering. I have a feeling it wasn't her, so I'll see where that goes.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, what do you mean when it wasn't? Oh, it wasn't her. We said we were gonna keep this short, and I'm just totally opening a can of worms. But I mean, I think she was going to use the information and basically do an expose story on Oliver Queen, who's really the Green Arrow. But because Thea and Felicity hacked her computer and basically discredited her, and now she doesn't have a job and her life is completely ruined. That's the part I didn't like. I felt like that was really cold. I mean, even for Thea, that was cold. I mean, she straight up ruined this woman's life.
Right. But she's also acting very much like Moira used to, protect the family at all costs.
Absolutely. As soon as Oliver said that, I was like, oh, that is so true. That was pretty cool. But
yeah. Well, for me, I just thought this episode was a great story progressing episode. And I mean that as an Arrow is a living world now, and we get to watch it and grow and live within it. Not every episode has to be mind-blowing with earth-shattering events. I just thought it flowed really well.
It did.
Yeah, it was good. It was just a great all-around episode. I was just a little bit disappointed in the trio of our villainesses, though. Just in how they used them, I felt they kind of made them a little bit dopey looking, for sure, in how they were being handled. So they could have done so much more with them, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got so little with them. I was kind of disappointed by that. I would have liked to have seen more. I felt like we didn't get, or maybe it was because we were focused on the one, what is her name? The one with Lance, that like she had the past with Lance. I wanted to see more of like China White and Cupid. I didn't really care about this other third lady as much, but
China White Cupid and Warner was her name. Yeah,
Warner,
I had completely forgotten about her being
Me too.
in Arrow at all. So I did not care about what was going on with her either.
Yeah, so I didn't like that they focused on that of the three of them. I would have been, I think I think a China White storyline would have been more compelling.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing I wanted to say is that I am absolutely loving Dinah Drake, the actress and the character, the way she's fitting in with the team and the way she's fitting in as an actress with these other actors. She's phenomenal. She's amazing. And I loved all the little scenes that she was in. She had some nice scenes with Diggle and with Lance when she was looking for approval to take on the Canary. It's just really nice. She's just fitting in really well. So I'm totally enjoying her character.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of what I meant when I said it's got that older team feel. Like, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, totally. Well, that wraps us up for this week. I think we've actually had a long episode this time, Harley.
Yeah, we are a little long. Sorry.
It's par for the course for us, though. It was a fun episode, and we had lots to talk about. So, final thoughts. To me, I'm just thinking there's something going on in the Legends of Tomorrow's writer's room. They've found some kind of magical formula, and it's working. Like, watch out, Flash, because our show is totally challenging you for the best comic book TV show.
It is. I mean, it's so well written right now. And everything ties together. There's no loose hanging threads anymore. So, well, aside from our cliffhanger, but it's really good.
No, totally is. Well, I guess, Harley, we have a week off, so just to remind everybody, we will be back in 2 weeks. Do you know what next week's or next episode's title is?
I do. It is Land of the Lost.
What could that mean?
I'm hoping it means dinosaurs. Is that too literal?
Well, I guess we're going to have to find out in 2 weeks. Awesome. Well, Legendaires, see you then. This is The Flash, signing off.
And I'm Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Find our podcast in iTunes. You can leave us a rating and review. We'd love that. As well, we can now be found in Google Play Music.